In this video, we're going to try to cover all of the basic tools found in the Photoshop toolbar. There's a lot of them. This might be a little bit longer video than most of them. I'm going to try to get through all of the tools as quickly as possible. I'm not going to be able to go into great detail into all of them, mainly because there's a lot. So I'm just going to start at the top and work my way down. First, we have the basic arrow selection move tool. And if you click on an image in your Photoshop document, you can see that it moves it around. I've got a picture right here I'm holding, and I'm able to move it. So that's the basics of this tool. There's not really that much that goes with it. So let's move on. Marquee tools underneath it. A lot of people call it the moving ant tool because the dots on it look like marching ants. Yeah, just a little fun fact there. This tool has a variety of uses. Combined with the move tool, you can move objects around that you need selected. So say I just want to move this girl here. I draw the marquee tool around her, switch back to the move tool, and now I can drag her around. Along with that, let's say that you need to select stuff and you only got half of the image. Now, you could redraw another box, like so. I've screwed up again. Or, I only get half of it. The marquee tool has these 4 selections up here. The first one is there's just basic generic marquee tool, grab whatever you need. The second one is add-on marquee. So basically I draw another box and that too becomes part of the marquee selection. The third one is the reverse. It gets rid of what you've selected. So I draw this box right here. It's gone. Gone, and so on. The last one is kind of a little combination of the two. It basically takes whatever was already selected and makes that into the new box. So I'm going to do that one more time for you. Watch, I draw inside here, and that's all it's selected. If I draw outside of it, nothing happens. It's only what was already selected. So this allows you to basically take your selection and refine it, like so. So that's the marquee tool. We're going to move on. There's a little bit more I guess I can explain into this. When you click and hold on the marquee tool, it brings up this pop-up drop-down menu, and there's the elliptical marquee tool, which I'm going to go into because I feel like this is something that a lot of students will use. If you select the elliptical marquee tool, the 4 boxes are the same. The only difference really is that it makes a circle. And I mean, it's something, depending upon what project you're working on, you might possibly use it. The last thing you need to know about the marquee tool is that notice when I drag it, it's not making a uniform circle. The way to do that is to hold shift and then drag the arrow. If you hold shift like this, you can see it's making a perfect uniform circle. If I let go of shift and I've been dragging it, notice that the circle loses its uniform shape and can become whatever it needs to be. So this goes both with the elliptical and the normal marquee tool. So we're going to move on from here and we're going to look at the lasso tool. Now the lasso tool also, if you hold it, has 3 different selections. The generic lasso tool, which this is also used for selecting items. You basically just draw around the image, whatever you need to select. And then once you make a complete lasso, like so, it selects that, shows the marching ants going around it. The other 2 different types are both the polygon, which allows you to select using lines. Hang on. There we go. And that allows you a little bit more stability because sometimes using the lasso tool can be a bit rough. And the last one is the magnetic lasso tool. Now this is if you've got an image where, let's say that it was this girl jumping on a very solid black background. She would really pop out against the background. So the lasso tool, you simply just draw along the edge of the image and it's able to find the edges and stick to them, like so. Now it's not working as well in this picture because obviously there's a lot of colors going on and the contrast isn't as high, so the lasso itself gets confused. So that's basically the extent of the lasso tool. As you can see, it's not working too well. So those are the 3 different types of lasso tools. Let's move on. We've got the quick selection tool, or the magic wand, and basically this is used, like I just said, high contrast. So if she was in a solid background, let's say, I'm going to just adjust this really quick. And if she's really popping out against the background, you notice that if I select a certain color, it then picks up all the colors of the same type. Now this doesn't work as well here, but in other situations it does. I guess I can show you a little bit better. Notice that her pants are solid black. If I click on any part of the black, it selects it. The magic wand basically selects pixels of the same color. Now you can adjust it. Up here is the tolerance. If I drop it up or drop it down, I say to like 5, and I select this. Notice how small the selection is. But if I bring it up to say 80, click on the same spot again, much larger area of selection. So you can adjust how much the amount, depending upon the color, the magic wand will select. Moving on. Next tool down the line, crop tool. This is pretty basic. I think you can get the gist of this. The crop tool, you draw out a box and hit enter, and that cropped your image. Moving on from there, we've got the eyedropper. This is used to select colors for your paintbrush. You basically find whatever you need, black. Say you need a specific type of blue that's already on the screen and you've already changed the colors up to something else. To find that blue again, just go back to the eyedropper and click on it. This is the spot healing tool, which we'll go into that a little bit later. I'm not going to get into that now. That really has to do more with pictures and corrections, and it's not really needed at this point for most cases. Brush tool. This is something you're going to use a lot depending upon what you're working on. This can be used for full page graphics, lower thirds, basics. If you know MS Paint, you know what a paintbrush is. It's also got pencil and color replacement. Clone stamp tool is similar to the spot healing. Not really going to go into that. Or the history brush. Eraser tool, also very basic. Erases, pretty understandable. Gradients and paint bucket. Now the paint bucket tool, yet again, if you've ever seen basically Microsoft Paint, there you go, pretty basic. Look at that, fills in the color. So there's that. And then if you click and hold, you can select the gradient tool. Now the gradient tool is pretty fancy, not fancy, I guess, pretty nice feature that you can use depending upon what you're working on. And this is used a lot for EP2 students, video production students that are making full page backgrounds, basically to make something a little bit better than just a generic solid color in the background. You can actually make a gradient of 2 colors. So this one was only at 90%. Fantastic. There's a basic generic gradient, and you can change it up depending upon the colors that you have selected. I'm going to say, I go over to my color palette, I'm going to choose white, and I want my other one to be light blue. So white and light blue. Drag this line across the screen. There you have your white and light blue. And there also is different types of gradients. There are 5 selections up here. This is the radial gradient, makes a circle. You can choose, I don't even actually know the name of this one. I just know that it ends on a harsh line. This is the mirror and diamond. So there is your gradient tool. Blur tool. The blur tool has 3 different types in it: blur, sharpen, and smudge. Blur and sharpen, yet again self-explanatory. It's like the paintbrush or the delete. You just run it across and it will blur stuff. Same thing for the sharpen tool. It will sharpen stuff. The smudge tool, and I'm going to try to do just a little bit of this because it will really slow down your computer depending upon how much you're smudging stuff. Basically, literally like it says, smudges pixels. So see how I drag her arm and it literally smudges it off to the side. And if you notice now, I'm having a loading time just because it takes that long for it to process what I've just done. Alright, So that's the smudge tool. Below that is the dodge, burn, and sponge tool. Dodge tool lightens objects. Burn tool burns or darkens objects. And then you've got the sponge tool, which can be used for desaturation or saturation. You can select it up here. So basically, if you have too much color in an image, you can desaturate it, or if you don't have enough or you want to enhance some color, you can run it across. See how her arm's getting redder and much brighter. That saturates it. Pen tool can be used for multiple different things. You really won't be getting into it in any of your classes, so there's no really any reason to go into it. The text tool, I'm going to cover that in a whole different tutorial, and really that's about all you need. Besides, this is the rectangle or the shape tool, and this allows you to make shapes that makes whole new layers in your layer palette. And that's the shape tool, pretty basic. And then the last tool is basically the zoom in, the hourglass tool, whatever you want to call it, and allows you to zoom in certain areas. If you hold Alt or Option on the Mac, you can click and zoom out, or just have your basic zoom in. You can also draw in a certain section depending on what you need. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the tutorial, or I guess tools on this tutorial. I will try to go more in depth on certain ones depending upon what other videos I make in the future. And that's all for this, and enjoy.